Finesse2Tymes, pulling up to Gravedigger Mountain to end his beef with YoungBoy, is the story setting the entire internet on fire today. And you and I need to look at how we actually got here, because this is no fairy tale link-up. This is one of the wildest standoffs in modern hip-hop. We are talking about two of the most feared names in the game. It all comes down to a Utah mountain that one man turned into a fortress and another man supposedly tried to approach with his hands open. Let our news desk set the scene for you. We have NBA YoungBoy, Kentrell Golden, locked down on house arrests. Sitting on a piece of land he literally named Gravedigger Mountain. Let that name sink in. A man under federal watch, with an ankle monitor on, unable to leave his property, yet naming his home after a graveyard. From our perspective, that tells us everything about the energy he carries. Then you have Finesse2Tymes. Ricky Hampton, straight out of Memphis, a city that does not play. He served real federal time, came home, and immediately turned into one of the loudest voices in the South. Two heavyweights in the booth, with reputations built on never bending. These two men went to war. Now, here the part that had our newsroom and the fans losing their minds. This feud did not start over music or a diss track. It started over women. It started in the direct messages. It started with disrespect so personal that we genuinely thought someone was going to die behind it. Then, completely out of nowhere, the temperature dropped. The shots stopped, and the street started whispering that Finesse made a move nobody saw coming. He did not run or hide. He aimed straight at the mountain itself. Subscribe to our channel as we break this down. Where it started, how it escalated, what was real, and what was a setup. We are analyzing what this tells us about where the culture is heading. By the time we are done, you will see this was not just two artists arguing on Instagram. This was a chess match, and someone played the long game better than anyone realized. Let us analyze this deeper. To understand how we ended up at that mountain, we must look back at the two men standing on opposite sides of it. Without knowing their history, you will completely miss why the entire industry held its breath. Let us start with YoungBoy. Born Kentrell Deshaun Golden, out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This artist is not your average creator. For years, he dominated as the most streamed artist on YouTube in the United States. 5 years straight. We are talking about a man who built a massive empire while the legal system pressured him the entire time. Indictments, arrests, serious gun charges, the works. By the early 2020s, he was no longer living in Louisiana. His federal case was moved, and he ended up in Utah of all places. Mill Creek first, then acquiring vast land in Huntsville, acres of it, which he named Gravedigger Mountain. Here is the key detail observers often overlook. While confined out there under house arrest, ankle monitor secured, he still married his partner, Jacine, back in January of 2023, right in the absolute middle of his confinement. So this artist's entire life, his family, music, money, and marriage, unfolded within the walls of a single property. That mountain was far more than a house. It was his entire world, his kingdom, his cell, and his castle, all at once. Keep that in mind because it becomes critical later. Now look at the other side. Finesse2Tymes. Ricky Hampton, from Memphis, Tennessee, born in 1992. Our editorial team must emphasize that Memphis is its own beast. Finesse came up in that local, underground scene, running alongside prominent names like Moneybagg Yo and Black Youngsta early on. But here is what separates Finesse from many of these online artists. This man served real federal prison time. He went away, returned, and when he touched back down, he was not quiet at all. He returned with Back End, a record that hit the Billboard Hot 100. He aligned with Bread Gang under Atlantic. He went from a prison cell to the charts in record time. Now our audience can see the full chessboard. On one side, a man who turned house arrest into a mountain fortress and a dominant streaming reign. On the other side, an artist who turned a federal sentence into a major southern comeback. Both figures built their entire brands on the exact same foundation. We do not fold, we do not bend, and we certainly do not run. Two immovable forces. In April of 2024, they collided. Let us be honest. When two powerhouses clash, the fallout is never minor. Be sure to hit that like button as our editors show you how this caught fire in April of 2024. We are going to walk you through the timeline because the dates tell the story. It began on Instagram when YoungBoy, from his mountain fortress, decided to launch direct shots, but not about music. He targeted the most personal angle possible, posting a picture of the mother of Finesse2Tymes' child, FNG Suga, dressed in lingerie. In his caption, he boasted about her like a trophy, writing that he got that bag. That was the entire disrespectful message, delivered coldly and casually, as if it meant nothing. He did not stop there either. He turned around and did the exact same thing to real Boston Richie, posting his partner as well. This time, he added a mountain emoji with a question mark. To an average viewer, that is just an icon, but to the streets, that mountain symbol was a direct invitation. He was essentially telling them to come see him on Gravedigger Mountain if they had an issue. He was leveraging his own confinement as a taunt, turning his restriction into a bold challenge for others to come find him. That is the exact type of provocation that gets people hurt. This is not standard industry drama. This is an individual targeting another man's family, crossing the most sacred line in the culture. And Finesse did not stay quiet. He fired back almost instantly with a direct message that was Memphis to the core, warning him not to get it twisted. They are not soft down there. That was the warning. Real recognizes real, and Finesse made sure YoungBoy knew he was not dealing with an easy target. Then, as our commentators noted, Finesse pivoted into a move so brilliant and disrespectful, it became a massive moment on its own. He flipped the situation into a lucrative business opportunity. Addressing the disrespect to his partner, he told YoungBoy he could FaceTime her for $250,000, $250,000. He put a price tag on the disrespect, effectively stating that a Memphis businessman will monetize any situation, even this. And if you are truly in your feelings, put up the cash. That is calculated. That is an artist refusing to show weakness and charging you for the privilege. But hold on, because this is where Finesse showed his analytical side. Almost as fast as he made that joke, he walked it back. He went on and said, "Look, I was trolling. I do not really play about Suga. Her loyalty is worth more than any money." Then he dropped a bombshell. The feds had gone through her paperwork. They were pressing her, trying to get her to fold, trying to break her down to flip on her own man, and she refused to do it. That explains the ankle monitor. Underneath that $250,000 FaceTime joke was a man protecting a woman who stood strong against federal pressure and refused to crack. That is not a temporary partner, that is real loyalty. And Finesse made sure the public knew the difference. Now, look at how the energy suddenly shifts. Finesse stops trying to match YoungBoy shot for shot. Instead, he goes for the throat by targeting his mind. He publicly claimed that YoungBoy is completely thrown off mentally. Finesse added that he would stop escalating the feud because he understood mental health struggles firsthand. But then, he delivered a line that cut deep, pointing out that YoungBoy has been on house arrest for 2 years. Finesse called it a luxury cell. Think about that statement for a second. A luxury cell. He took YoungBoy's entire brand, the mountain, the mansion, the land, and reframed it as a cage. He said, all that wealth, all that property, and you still cannot leave. You are still confined, just within nicer walls. That is not a temporary jab, it is a permanent scar. Naturally, YoungBoy heard this and erupted. He fired back with that signature venom, telling Finesse he sounded like one of his disgruntled exes, refusing to give him even an inch of respect. Social media erupted, and if you are enjoying this analysis, subscribe for more. But let us look at what really was happening behind the headlines. This is where the public missed the narrative. While fans took sides, waiting for the dispute to turn violent, Finesse dropped a crucial statement that showed where this was heading. He looked at the entire drama, the women, the disrespect, the constant back and forth, and stated it plainly. Real gangsters do not fight over women. Let me say that again. Real gangsters do not fight over women. Please remember that statement, because that single quote is the turning point of this entire timeline. It is not the talk of someone preparing for violence. It is a man who already knows how this story ends, and it does not involve bloodshed. Now, you and I have arrived at the climax of this report, the infamous Gravedigger Mountain. It is the rumor dominating hip-hop media. Word spread that Finesse traveled directly to YoungBoy's territory to settle this dispute face-to-face. But as news commentators, we must focus on the hard facts, because that is our reporting standard. No camera crew ever filmed Finesse climbing that mountain like it was a movie. No official records exist. So, any source claiming to have leaked audio of the meeting is just selling a myth. Yet, this narrative caught fire for a reason. real or symbolic, it tells us everything about how this high-profile rap feud was resolved. Consider the strategic board. YoungBoy is legally restricted. He is confined to that mountain, wearing an ankle monitor, under constant federal surveillance. He cannot come to Finesse. Remember, YoungBoy posted that mountain emoji, inviting a confrontation. He designated his estate as the meeting point, because he cannot legally go anywhere else. So, in the public eye, and according to our analysis, a face-to-face resolution required someone to make the trip. Someone had to go to the mountain, and it was the artist with nothing left to prove. The person who stated real gangsters do not fight over women. The Memphis rapper who insisted he is not soft. He had the confidence to enter his opponent's territory to end this. That is the symbolism that captivated online audiences. The concept of finesse, the target of the initial disrespect, choosing to de-escalate rather than keep firing, visiting rival territory to broker a truce. In the rap community, that decision is not viewed as weakness. It is seen as a major power move, entering a rival's fortress on his own territory to tell him directly, quote, "We do not have to do this." That requires far more courage than releasing any diss track. It shows a man secure enough to reject the war. And this is where the narrative pieces begin to connect. Just as tensions peaked and followers feared physical violence would break out, the online attacks suddenly ceased. The narrative shifted. Reports quickly surfaced, suggesting the two artists had met, cleared the air, and resolved their differences. One moment, it is the most intense feud in Southern rap. The next, reports claim YoungBoy and Finesse settled it. The tension dissipated almost as quickly as it began. But we must ask the critical journalistic question. How do two rivals trading deep personal insults, involving family matters, mental health struggles, suddenly reconcile within a matter of days? Feuds this, deeply personal, do not simply evaporate unless a significant move was made, unless one party decided the conflict was not worth continuing and offered a truce, unless someone made the trip, literally or figuratively, and ended it. But a much more complex theory began circulating while the public debated the legitimacy of this sudden peace. And once you analyze these details, your perspective will change. Like this video if you agree, as we examine the evidence together. This is where things get highly unusual. The theory circulating through the rap community was straightforward, yet highly disruptive to the current narrative. What if the entire feud was completely manufactured? What if YoungBoy and Finesse were never actually at war, but instead manipulated the media? What if this was a coordinated promotional rollout designed to capture global attention before dropping a joint project to capitalize on the hype? Before you dismiss this theory, look at the evidence, because the puzzle pieces fit remarkably well. First, consider the timeline. The dispute flared up and ended rapidly. Genuine conflicts of this caliber typically simmer for months or even years. This clash lasted mere days before falling silent. Real animosity rarely resolves that quickly, but an industry campaign does. Generate massive attention, then convert it into profit. Second, analyze their rhetoric. Even during the peak of the dispute, Finesse consistently showed underlying respect. He stated he would not escalate against YoungBoy out of consideration for mental health, citing his own past challenges. He added that, "Real gangsters do not fight over women." Who takes that approach with an opponent they genuinely want to dismantle? That is not warfare. That is a man leaving the door open the entire time. Number 3, and this is huge. Subscribe to our channel now. These are two of the most marketing-savvy artists of their generation. YoungBoy built an entire empire off understanding attention better than anyone. Finesse turned a federal bid into a chart-topping hit through sheer momentum and perfect timing. Both of these men understand one thing better than almost anyone alive. In 2024, attention is currency, and nothing on earth generates attention like two feared men looking like they are about to kill each other. So, when we analyze it, the mountain link-up theory and the promotional stunt theory actually become the same story. How do you cash out a fake beef? You end it with a moment. Give the fans a reunion. Let the streets believe someone went to that mountain and squashed it. You let that goodwill build, and then you drop your project to a fan base that is already locked in. The ending of this beef is the payoff of the campaign. Now, we are not going to tell you it was 100% staged, because that is not being honest. That is just us guessing. Maybe it was real drama that two grown men were smart enough to walk back before anyone got killed. Maybe it was a marketing stunt from day one. Or, and this is our actual theory, Maybe it was both. Maybe it started as real disrespect in Memphis versus Baton Rouge energy. But along the way, two intelligent men looked at the situation and said, "Why are we doing the ops job for them? Why give the authorities who are watching us a reason to connect us to violence? Why bleed for free when we can cash in?" Because here is the part casual listeners always miss. Both these men had everything to lose. YoungBoy was on house arrest facing federal gun charges. The last thing he needed was beef linking him to violence. He had lawyers and a federal judge watching every move. And Finesse had already done federal prison time. He came home and was rebuilding everything. Two men under that kind of microscope going to war is not tough. It is stupid. And neither of these men is stupid. That is the part the streets respect most. They were smart enough to put the weapons down, real or metaphorical, and grab the bag instead. That is not soft. That is mature. But our reporting does not end there, because what happened to YoungBoy next took a crazy turn. Nobody could have scripted this. The beef cools down, the internet moves on, and you would think that is the end. But we are just getting started. The universe had a twist planned for YoungBoy that turned this entire saga upside down. Let us break down the timeline. In April 2024, right in the middle of this drama, YoungBoy gets booked into Utah's Cache County Jail, tied to a massive prescription fraud ring investigation. We are talking dozens of state charges: identity fraud, forgery, prescription fraud, the entire works. On top of that, his federal gun case is still hanging over him. So, the man who turned his mountain into a fortress suddenly finds himself in an actual jail cell. Remember Finesse's words about him being in a luxury cell? Months later, YoungBoy went from the luxury version to the real deal. The streets do not forget irony. Then it got heavy. By the end of 2024, YoungBoy takes a plea deal. He pleads guilty on the federal gun charges and gets sentenced to nearly 2 years in prison. He also pleads no contest to a stack of state charges with heavy fines. The man who dodged the system for years finally had to take the hit. It looked like the Mountain King's reign was interrupted for real. But here is the massive plot twist that you literally cannot make up. In April of 2025, YoungBoy gets released. Then, weeks later, on May 28, 2025, boom, he gets a pardon from the president. Donald Trump granted NBA YoungBoy a full pardon during a wave of clemency. The man who built a mountain named after a graveyard, who beat case after case, who survived house arrests, federal charges, and a massive social media war. He walks out not just free, but fully pardoned at the highest level. And after his release, reports surfaced that heavily armed private security was guarding his property. The king had returned to his mountain. Let us analyze the full arc. While he was beefing with Finesse, talking down from that peak, and attacking another man's family, he was weeks away from being booked into a real jail. And Finesse, who clowned him for being in a luxury cell, had no idea YoungBoy would trade it for a county cell, do real time, and walk out with a presidential pardon. You cannot write a legendary comeback story like that. Meanwhile, Finesse kept moving too. He kept dropping music, kept building his brand, and stayed on his Memphis grind. But their story was not done, because by the end of 2025, the rumors started again. Videos dropped suggesting Finesse2Tymes reignited the beef with YoungBoy. The smoke that everyone thought was settled on that mountain started rising once more. So whatever truce they had, whatever happened on Gravedigger Mountain, whether real or symbolic, did not hold. This only feeds our theory, because if a promo ended in a fake piece, what is the next play? When the numbers cool down, you restart the engine, reignite the beef, and run the campaign back. That is the cycle of the industry, folks. It is a machine. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let us look at the bigger picture here, because this is about more than two rappers. This story is a mirror showing us exactly where hip-hop culture is heading. If you are enjoying this deep dive, hit that like button right now. We are living in an era where rap beef is a primary business model. Back in the day, when artists had real smoke, it was dangerous. It ended in tragedy too many times. We lost true legends to real violence, and the culture still carries those deep scars today. So, when you see two highly feared artists take the most personal beef imaginable and walk away before blood is shed, whether it was a stunt or just two grown men making a smart business decision, is that really a bad thing? Let us know what you think in the comments. We would rather see two street figures turn a war into a business deal than a funeral. We would rather see Finesse charge $250,000 than see actual shots fired. Making peace on a mountain is always better than starting a war. If Finesse and using the web to protect their freedom, that is high-level chess, not checkers. Hit like as we unpack the other side. And, as commentators, we must give you the raw truth, because real analysis requires the whole picture. There is a heavy cost to this. When feuds become marketing tools, it devalues the entire rap game. It conditions a new generation of creators and fans to believe that attacking a man's household, exposing his family, and dragging his mental stability through the dirt is just standard content, mere engagement, or an album rollout. The industry reality is, not everyone plays by these rules. For every established rapper like YoungBoy and Finesse smart enough to back down, some kid watching takes that disrespect literally, and he is going to pull a trigger because he thinks the culture demands it. The strategic playbook these two ran is only safe for players intelligent enough to control the narrative. In the wrong hands, it is a tragedy waiting to happen. So we must ask, were they geniuses outsmarting the system, or did they pour gasoline on a culture already on fire? The truth lies in the middle, making this case so fascinating to analyze. These two artists weaponized the very tactics, vicious insults, family targeting, and genuine fear that normally get people killed, and leveraged them for massive streaming numbers, walking away completely clean. It is either the most brilliant marketing play ever, or the most dangerous precedent, depending on who replicates it. That is the question we leave with our audience. When Finesse journeyed to Gravedigger Mountain, whether in reality, in the street's imagination, or as the final act of a campaign, what was his actual goal? Was he the mature figure ending a war, a savvy businessman closing a major deal, or simply the ultimate strategist in a game where two artists finessed the entire world? Let us know below.